right, guys, coming at you with another episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. This, of course, is the podcast made for real producers by real producers and with none other than real producers such as Lori Moses with EXIT Bayshore Realty. It's good to have you on the show today. Lori, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you for asking. We're excited to dive in a little bit to your story. And if you don't know Lori, we've featured her actually in the past as a team leader in one of our issues with Tampa Bay Real Producers last year. Off the top of my head, I forget which month it was now.
May.
It was May. So it was already a year ago? Man,
yeah, it's been a year.
That went fast. May of 2022, we had Lori spotlighted. And then we also had Lori on a panel over the last year at Whiskey Cake. We do these monthly panels over there. And Lori was one of the spotlights talking about team building, which I'm sure we'll dive into a little bit here too in our conversation. So for people who might not know you though, Lori, and your story, why don't we just start a little bit with your background and whether you grew up around here, grew up somewhere else, how you got yourself started in real estate. Why don't we start there?
Okay, so I am originally from Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yes, great food. Not a
Amen.
lot to do there.
You're a Cajun gal, huh?
Actually, I'm Lebanese and Cajun, so that's a real spitfire of a combination.
Spicy food is your thing, I take it, huh?
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so my husband worked for a group called Piccadilly Cafeterias, which my dad played football at LSU, and all of his friends were the board of directors. So They were trying to go down to the next level of generation. So all the kids were gone, and so we came to Florida to help start them out. And we actually loved it so much here. I said, I am never going to move.
So that's what brought you to Florida, was this connection with Piccadilly?
Yes. We originally went to Jacksonville, and my kids were doing acting and modeling, and we were driving to Tampa every week. So I said, I really want to move to Tampa.
Yeah.
So the kids were, the minute that opened up, we jumped on it and moved to Tampa. My children were very involved in cheerleading and dance, and I felt like to help them out, I coached and I did the books. I am an accountant.
Okay.
So I would do the books for the organization so I could get free services.
That makes sense.
So
Smart
I had
thinking.
a group of people that came to me one time and asked me if I wanted to start my own cheerleading gymnastics after school facility. And I'm like, yeah. So we started one over on West Shore. It was called Star Athletics.
Nice. And
one of the board of directors was a real estate agent. And he kept saying, you would make a great real estate agent. And I just ignored him. Of course, I decided to approach it when the market crashed in 2006 and 2007.
Perfect
timing. But, I love people.
If you can make it work, though, as a new agent in that market, I guess it's easy from there, right?
Yes, and I got Rising Star out of 30 new agents for our group, which was Prudential Tropical at the time, which is now turned into Berkshire Hathaway. But I loved my broker. She was so supportive, and she actually had her meetings at Piccadilly every week. So it was like,
what a
my
connection.
husband knew her, and he kind of like filtered that whole thing.
That's awesome.
So anyway, the kids started.
How long were you in Tampa before you got hooked up with real estate, before you got licensed?
So I've been in Tampa 32 years, and I've been an agent 16. So
you were doing a lot with the studio and it was at dance?
It was dance, cheerleading, gymnastics after school.
Okay.
So then the kids.
By the way, that's like my wife's cup of tea. She used to cheerlead for the New York Jets for a few years and so our two daughters now are loving dance. They're at the All American Dance Studio. On Dale Mabry, and we just literally spent last Saturday at dance recitals.
It's a great way to keep the kids. My philosophy is you got to keep your kids busy to keep them out of trouble.
Yeah.
So
it's a good philosophy.
I was always with them, so that did help. But when the kids got to college, they danced it and cheered at Florida, at the University of Florida.
Okay.
My son played baseball, and I could never go because I was working all the time because we did competitions on the weekends and practice was at night.
Right.
Kind of like real estate, right?
Yeah. You learned the schedule early.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm like, I got to do something else. So sold out of the business, got into real estate, and I haven't looked back since. I absolutely.
So you don't miss it, huh? Real estate was you found your niche.
I love both of them.
Yeah.
There's no money in cheerleading.
Right. Right. That's true.
So I love the kids.
I was always surprised how the cheerleaders, even like the NFL, like they don't make anything.
They don't make anything.
Some of the teams literally pay them $0.
Right.
But it's about promotion, right? Some of the teams will pay them like $50 a game. It's kind of embarrassing, really. I think there was even a lawsuit that I saw recently.
There was. They get paid, I think, $75 a game now, and get paid for practice minimum wage, but they still do make more than they did.
Yeah.
But when I coached at USF for, I think, 8 years, and a lot of the girls made the Bucks cheerleading team, and some of them didn't have the time to do that. So we kind of started a mini little team and kind of helped some of the sports around here, like the Tampa Bay Rowdies, some of the arena football. So we would float until COVID hit, and then it kind of stopped everything. So
interesting.
Anyway.
So tell us a little bit more about, you got yourself licensed at Piccadilly's, is where you had your initial office, I guess, or meetings or stuff. And what was it like when you were a new agent and just starting to get traction? Like, did you have a strategy that seemed to really work for you right away? Or were you just kind of like a fish out of water and trying to learn a lot? Like, talk about those first couple of years.
Well, because I had so many people that I met during cheerleading, I probably coached 4,000 kids since I've been around. So,
yeah.
And,
so that was your network to tap into.
They knew the work ethic and knew who I was. So that did help a lot. Plus my husband coached baseball also, which, I would say probably the first 5 years were all my spirit influence.
Makes sense.
I really didn't market a lot. I still really don't. We try to give our clients really good service, so they always come back. I've had clients that I've sold have given me 17 to 20 referrals.
That's awesome.
Which, and the hardest thing about being a team leader is to get your team to give that kind of service. So you want to make sure if you do get a team that you are teaching your buyer's agents that this is the most important thing in real estate is giving good service.
Yep.
I tell them, treat this like it's you're buying the house. You're scheduling the move. You want to make sure your utility's on. You want to make sure that the inspection's done and everything's fixed. So, I think that is our cup of tea. I think when we talked in the other meeting, I was totally different than all the other team leaders. I don't require them to call. I don't require anything of them. It's their business.
Yeah.
If I give them a referral and they don't do the job correctly, they don't get another one.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's just what.
Now, were you building a team from the very beginning, or when did you start that process?
I was not. I started it. My first team member was a girl that I coached at cheerleading and USF, and she was a Bucks cheerleader, and she really wanted to learn the business. And I'm like, well, I kind of like this. She's showing all the houses for me, and I'm doing all the listings.
That's right.
It frees up a lot of my time. And I trained her so well that she's a broker now. Nice. Owns her own brokerage.
Nice.
She's pregnant. She just found out she was pregnant. So super exciting. And so then I just started, I interviewed a few people. And honestly, there was only one person out of 30 that I interviewed that I really wanted on my team.
So you were pretty picky, huh?
I was very picky. She's exactly like me. I love her. I have never lost a team member except the one I trained so well. They're all still with me.
Wow, that's impressive.
And, the rest of them.
I think you said that you have 10 now?
I have 10. They kind of came to me from calling.
Yeah.
A couple of them I coached in cheerleading or knew when they were growing up, sold a couple houses with them or their family, and they're like, I really would like to get into this. Our friends of friends saying, this girl is a great agent. You want to talk to her, and that way. So
yeah. What to you, Lori, is what you look for when you think about a valuable team member? Are there certain qualifications, or what you mentioned you only brought on 1 out of 30. So there must have been something in these interviews that you either liked or didn't like, right? As you were talking to people, what are some of your insights as to how, what makes somebody a great candidate for your team?
I mean, if they're comfortable in their life, they typically don't make a good team member. They have to be hungry and willing to go work. I know that sounds terrible, but those are my good team members.
Makes
the
sense.
Ones that are hungry.
Yeah.
So I mean, the ones who are comfortable and they're doing it part time, I really don't get, and don't get them. They don't get the turnover that the other ones do because they're available. I work 6 o'clock till midnight.
Yep.
And if I have something to do and, they book out, I'm like, if you guys are busy, just book out and I won't bug you.
Yep.
So I ask them to book out if they're going on vacation or something, and I tell them when I'm not available. So we all kind of cover each other's backs.
So all 10 of your agents are full-timers? They're not
I have
part-timers?
three that are part-time.
Okay.
one guy just started a new job, and now that he's trained, he's ready to get back into the weekends and nights because he's done at 3:00. He's the only male on our team.
Okay.
I knew
Can you imagine that? A male with a bunch of women who probably were dancers and cheerleaders. It must be a tough gig for him for team meetings.
But I've known him since he was a little boy, so he's good. Kind of treat him like my son. If I don't really take kid gloves with him. If I don't like what he's doing, I'll let him know. You
can be blunt with him, huh?
Yeah, I'm sometimes a little too blunt. But other than that, I mean, we're doing great. I feel like we started we just launched our Google page, which is gaining great momentum. I can't believe I never had one, but like I tell you,
this is for your team name?
Yeah, for our team name.
You can plug it. What's the name of the team again?
It's Selling Sunsets of Florida.
Selling Sunsets of Florida.
So we got our first 50 reviews this week. We are now doing group texting, which is a great thing. So you can group text instead of individually texting. Some of the older clients, weren't really... They thought that was my new phone number when it's a business number.
Right.
So we had to explain to them, but everybody was very excited and ready to help us out, build momentum for our page.
And we're not really focusing on a lot of the numbers with this conversation, but from what I saw last year, I think the team did over 50 transactions, or over 25 million is what I thought I saw in MLS, something like that.
I think we did 80. Maybe it was 2022 we did 80. I'm not really sure.
Transactions or million?
Transactions.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know the millions. I know I looked because that was one of my questions. We're at 150 million right now, but I mean,
career as a team.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, as a career, but I've only had a team together for 2 years.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, we are building momentum.
For you, what do you think is the most rewarding part of being an agent? Is it the team building process for you? Is it just working with the clients? Is there something else maybe that you've fallen in love with in the real estate world? What's the most rewarding for you?
Two things. I love mentoring, of course, because I'm a coach. So I love mentoring. I love hungry agents that want to learn. And the other thing is making sure that our clients are like, that this is my dream home. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for all your help. Those two things. And
have you found that you've put in place certain systems or programs that have helped you generate this repeat business? Because you mentioned how that's been a real integral part, of how you've grown your business. So I'm assuming that doesn't just happen naturally, right? There's got to be something that you've done to create that culture where your clients are coming back and wanting to keep referring people to you. Anything that that you can speak of there that has helped? I do have a booklet, like an employee booklet for my new agents, and we go through that with them. And I do have a transaction coordinator who really has hands on everything. Which if anybody starts a team, I highly suggest this, and I'll tell you why. Because when we first started, I did not, and 2 of the girls had emergencies on a day of closing. And that was kind of disastrous. That can throw a monkey wrench into things. I didn't know if they closed. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm the one that, does everything through MLS. I have to report it. Sure. So at that point, that is in their contract that they are required to use a transaction coordinator with all transactions. And you have the one who handles all transactions for the whole team. Yes. And I find that has been one of the smartest things I ever That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. There's a great book out there called Never Lose a Customer Again. The guy's name is Joey Coleman, who wrote it. And he talks about specific systems about creating the right client experience, right? And as you just mentioned, it has to typically be scalable and something that you can replicate. Right. And it's hard to do that if you're relying on a ton of different people to do it their own way. Right. And having that one transaction coordinator in place that you just mentioned, I think is a smart move if anybody's out there and they're thinking about building a team. Right. If that's not in place yet for you, that might be a great starting point, right? Yeah, it's great because we have here's your welcome letter. These are all the dates that everything is going to happen for you, and kind of explaining it to the new buyer or the listing, whoever's doing it. Creating proper expectations. Yes, and 3 days before closing, here's all the list of the things that you need to do and what to expect. So it's, it's a generic form that we tweak it because, when the walkthrough is, the closing is, where to go, and that kind of stuff. But it really has streamlined everything and made everything where there's no question. I do follow up with the buyers, whoever purchased, and, asking them for reviews on the actual agent who did. I don't say, what do they do good? I said, what can they do to do things better for you? Yeah. What did you expect? And most of them are like, they were great.
So that's really beneficial. I like them to be on time, to be prepared. Sometimes we sell homes that are not in the area that we're used to.
Right. I was going to ask you, is most of your stuff here in South Tampa, would you say, or is it all over Tampa Bay?
South Tampa. We do Sarasota, Bradenton.
Do you?
Do a lot at the beaches. I'm in a physicians referral network where I do a lot of the. They don't know when they match until, the 18th of March. Mm-hmm. So, and typically, we've helped them so much that if they do stay in the area, they buy a bigger house. If they buy something small, we suggest them to turn it into a rental. Start your rental portfolio. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be here, since you've gotten something now, you're in something that was $250,000. Now you can have a $1.5 million house. Keep it.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
Anyway, we work a lot with those.
So your 10 team members are spread out as well, all
they
throughout.
Are so that we have somebody who's familiar with each area.
Yeah.
I do most of the waterfront property because there's a lot of different rules and regulations for each area, actually. Mm-hmm. And you have to know the seawall regulations and the dock regulations. If you're putting a dock up. Is your HOA covering this? Are they not covering it? If it's a condo, who's paying for it? So typically with anything waterfront, I handle it because there's, are they doing it for an investment purposes?
Right.
Because as you know, some are available to rent a week, some are a month, some are 3 months, and some are once a year. So if you have somebody that wants to Airbnb a property, and
it's a different situation. Yeah, altogether.
And you can only rent it one time a year. That's not going to work.
Right.
So
right.
I handle most.
Last thing you want to do is be an agent who doesn't know that, right?
Right. Yeah. Because it would be super embarrassing for someone.
When you think about Lori, you've now been in real estate through some good markets and challenging markets, and markets where it felt like everything was selling easily, and markets where it felt like there's been a lot of challenges. You started one of those, right? What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you think you've experienced so far in your time with real estate? And what do you think you've learned from them? Like, are there any specific lessons that you can point to from some of the challenges that have made you a better agent and a better team leader?
So when we had the downturn, that was a huge learning experience, especially with short sales.
Yeah.
So one of the things I learned, and I'm sure it will come back around, is that if you're going to make an offer on a short sale, you have to make sure that everything's approved from the bank, or your agents your buyers have a year to wait. Mm-hmm. So if they have, to move within 60 days, it's not going to work for them. Mm-hmm. With foreclosures, a lot of the roofs were leaking. They would take the appliances out and damage some of the home. You would have to know, well, a VA and FHA cannot handle this property. It would have to be conventional or cash. I mean, you have to kind of
know the nuances.
Yeah, the nuances. So that's what I learned in that era. So what we learned in the area where the market was booming is that your buyers have to show how much they love the house, send a letter. Your agents, I would have my agents, fill out a little short email saying, okay, here's our offer. I would have the lender call and say, these are why my clients are qualified. We would try to get the clients through underwriting so that we could close quicker.
Yeah.
So we learned that in that area, what to do in that area. Now, in this era, we're trying to educate the sellers that it is not 2022 anymore.
Right.
So
of them still think it is, right?
They still think it is. I have a couple of them.
What do you mean I can't sell for 4 times over listing?
Yeah, and I'm not getting 30 offers, and it's, they're not waiving the appraisals. But, I have a client, and, it was $5,000 less than the listing price, and he's like, I'm not selling it for that. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But, it's not the market that I tried to get you to list during the market when it was really crazy, and you wanted to wait until July. Well, that was the last month it was good, July 2023.
I think a lot of what you're saying is the importance of creating the right expectations, even with your sellers and your buyers, right? Like that's, in my experience from interviewing a lot of top people like yourself, that seems to be a common thing that a lot of them do very well, is they have a way of creating the right expectations with who they're working with, and almost coaching that buyer and seller in advance, so that way all these issues don't arise later, right? It's just like anything else. The best time to handle a sales objection is before it comes up, right?
Right. And you're going to think I'm crazy, but if I have a seller that is just like hell-bent and determined on a price that it's not going to or won't, won't follow instructions when you say, okay, let's clean this up. I go through and stage houses before pictures. Like I clean everything up, let's move this. If they are unwilling to do anything, probably best to walk away.
Yeah, not a good fit. Sometimes you have to be comfortable saying that.
So,
right?
Yeah.
I think there's some clients can be more of a nightmare than they're probably worth, right? And you also have to run your business with people that you want to work with.
And people get angry if you can't sell the house for what they want to sell it for.
Yeah.
So if you give them an unrealistic expectation, then they're going to expect an unrealistic sell price of the house, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What are some things, Lori, that you're excited about moving forward for the rest of this year? Could be personally, could be business related with your team. What are some of your goals and things that fire you up?
Well, in the last 16 years, I think I've sold probably 4 houses over $1.5 million. Mm-hmm. And right now we're on track this year to do 6.
Okay.
So I feel like the luxury market hasn't changed too much.
Okay.
And that's where we're kind of focusing our attention, because they don't care what the interest rates are and what the prices are of the home are, because if they have enough money to qualify for a $1.5 million home, they probably have some flexibility there.
Makes sense.
So I'm pretty shocked by that the luxury market hasn't changed that much. But that's the way I feel. I mean, I don't know if that's a
fact.
Yeah, I do not know that.
It's been your experience.
That's my experience.
So do you think you'll have more of a luxury focus here for the rest of this year than possibly you've had in the past? Or
I am focusing right now as a listing agent on some of the homes on the water. So yesterday I gave out hurricane preparedness. I left them on everybody's door. I'm walking down the river and giving those out because I'm new to Riverview. I've only been there for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I've only been on the water for 2 years and learning, my neighbors and getting to know them, where the neighborhood that I lived in last had 80 homes. I sold 68 of those.
Nice. That's
years.
Awesome. 68 out of 80. That's a pretty good percentage.
68 of the 80 homes. Sold some of them twice.
You own that community, huh?
So I'm trying to keep my hand in there and then expand it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a whole other topic really, in terms of we're actually doing a panel next Thursday on the power of branding. And that's an example of, you did an amazing job branding yourself in that community anyway, right?
We're working hard to do that.
Yeah.
I branded myself in that community. I'm working hard to brand the brand.
Yeah,
Selling
no doubt.
Sunsets of Florida. So I'm working hard to brand that brand.
Makes sense. And you mentioned you have some social media stuff that's launching out to make that happen. And are you guys into a YouTube channel yet?
We do. It's hard for all of us, not even me, just the buyer's agents too. When I'm like, when you see something beautiful, take a picture of it.
Right.
Walk through the house and talk about the house.
Right.
And it's just hard to everybody to get on board doing that. It's even hard for me because you're not used to it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Used to walking in a house with the buyers for the walkthrough, and here's this, or showing them the home. You usually don't go into the home by yourself.
Right.
So I'm like, get there early, go through the home. If you see something you love, send it to our marketing director, because she posts everything for us. She sends everybody. We try to post 3 times a week. We're trying to do a few videos. Like I said, our lender has a green room for us to do videos. I don't like doing stuff like that.
So you're really comfortable right now.
I'm better because there's no cameras and not a lot of people. You notice I'm a lot less nervous than I was.
We could just be genuine and chat. Yes, no doubt.
So I'm okay.
So let's talk a little bit about some of your on personal side. So people might want to get to know you a little bit more, possibly even people looking to join your team, agents who might watch this on our Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel or on any of our podcast platforms. I'll do a little quick plug. We're on Apple, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast, it's called. And so, or it could even be, I know for a fact there are people who want to, like buyers and sellers who might want to buy in Tampa, who just Google and then see, oh, well, this organization focuses on top producing agents, so maybe that's something I should follow. So you never know who might hear it, right? Is my point. People who might want to get to know you a little bit more personally. You mentioned before, you're married with how many daughters?
I have 2 daughters and a son.
2 daughters and a son. How old are they now?
36, 33, and soon to be 32.
And are they all married?
They are. I have 7 grandkids, and they're working on number 8.
Wow, that's a great legacy. Are they local or are they spread out?
Well, Jeff, my youngest daughter is married to a professional football player, Jeff Driscoll, that was the quarterback of Florida.
Yeah.
They just had a little boy. He is a clone of his father. You would
Aw.
think with all our dark hair and dark skin, he's blonde hair, blue eyes.
Future quarterback, huh?
He's tracking just like Jeff. He weighed 10 pounds. He's 6 pounds. He's 6 months. He weighs 22 pounds. I'm like, he is adorable. And her oldest daughter is a clone of me and never stops talking to everybody. We had a wedding to go to the other week, and I was watching the two girls, and the little one was playing with all her friends. And the one that's just like me was interviewing all the adults at the pool. She's like, knew their name, where they worked, where
She'll
they
be running a
lived.
podcast one of these days.
She is a clone of me, and I just laughed because it drove my kids crazy because I talked to everybody too much. So I'm like, yeah, well, that's what you get when you're embarrassed of your mother. Then you have a child just like your mother.
You said earlier that you're Lebanese. Have you ever been to Lebanon?
I have not.
Okay.
It's kind of dangerous.
It is, yes.
So I have not. I'm half Lebanese. I have most of my grandkids. I think I have 2 with brown eyes. I'll have blue eyes. Who would figure? My dad had blue eyes. My husband has blue eyes. But my daughter, I have a daughter that lives in Dallas that she, when Tim Tebow came to the University of Florida, she showed him around the university. They're really good friends.
Nice.
She lives in Dallas. She has 3 kids. She's a PA and her husband's a ER physician.
None of them have followed in the real estate footsteps, or what?
My son wanted to, and I would not let him.
Is that right?
Well, he's really smart. He's a PA also, and so is his wife.
Okay.
So he.
What are you saying? Smart people can't be agents?
I just think there's a lot. I just think, and and I told this to the girl that I trained. Her husband is an agent also. I said the hardest thing about it is your health insurance and your benefits. You don't have any.
Yeah.
So if you're not dedicated and really focused on doing that when you're young, when you get old, you're not going to have anything.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why I wanted him to have a job where he gets benefits and he has a family.
No, it makes sense.
That's the hardest part about this. And, I do have an agent that works part-time for me, and her husband, like I was telling you, we had some health concerns. Young boy got COVID really bad. They didn't think he was going to make it.
Wow.
So I've kind of told her just to stay, working full time because he can't anymore.
Yeah.
For the benefits. So I give her what I can so she can work work on nights and weekends when she's not at work. But I don't want her to quit her job because of that. But that is a little difficult.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, you're talking to somebody who's been a 1099 since I've been 18. So I've kind of gotten used to the whole not having the benefit thing and having to pay for it, But with 5 kids, it isn't easy. Right. You're right.
And we were out on the boat the other day, and I talked to everybody, like I told you. I heard them talking about, I'm 1099. I either have to go ahead and just not do all my expenses and buy a house or not pay Uncle Sam. I said, that's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
I said, if you want to buy a house and both of you are 1099,
you got to show the income. Yeah.
You got to show the income.
That's how it works. Work with a good CPA, make sure you're connected. Shout out to my CPA, Kim Justice, with Tax by the Bay. She's pretty good.
Good. I need a, even though I'm a CPA, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, she's good. She's in St. Pete, but she works with 1099s mostly.
Yeah.
Yep. What was I going to ask you? So in terms of hobbies and interests, like what do you love to do? What keeps you busy when you're not working? What do you guys, how do you keep your time when you're having fun?
Well, we were flipping houses until the market went berserk. Then we kind of quit doing that. But my husband and I both enjoyed it. I enjoyed the decorating and tearing down the walls and deciding what was going to go where.
Nice.
He loved doing it. The market's so bad right now. I just can't see spending $300,000 on a house
to flip it up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would make me a little nervous. So anyway, we love doing that. We're going to get back into it eventually. We go out on the boat every weekend. When Jeff's playing, we go watch him play. They live in Orlando 6 months a year.
Nice.
And wherever they're playing, he's at the
What team is Jeff on now?
Arizona Cardinals.
He is, okay.
Right now. And
they just, didn't they? Oh, they do have Kyler Murray still. They got rid of their receiver. So
he's
Murray's
hurt.
been getting hurt a lot.
Yeah, and so is the next backup. So they have 5 quarterbacks, so who knows?
He's getting some playing time out there?
He's getting playing time.
There we go.
More than he wants. They got 1 week left to OTAs, but once that's done, we spend a lot of time with them. They usually come in.
The football season must be pretty busy for the family, huh?
It's crazy, and then they go back July the 15th.
Right.
So, and I work because I love dance so much and cheerleading. I work out a lot. Because I don't do that anymore. I kind of shifted it.
Do you know the teachers or the dance teachers at or the coaches, I should say, for the Bucks? Did you guys have a relationship with them at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I have.
Was it Denise? Was that her name?
It is now. It was, I can't think of her name. She moved
Because Lauren worked with them for a little bit too.
Yeah, I don't know the new one. I knew the other. I actually have her in my phone, but I can't remember her name. She's working for the Glazer Foundation now.
Gotcha.
But she was there for 8. She started when I started at USF, and she was there about 3 years after. But I had about 30 girls from USF that made
it's a lot
cheerleaders. So
yeah,
she would come. She was my judge. She was one of my judges because I wanted her to see the girls.
Sure.
That's a good way to help them get into the system is for her to see them. So,
did you say that you sold the studio, the dance studio? Is that still in existence or no?
I think somebody bought it from North Carolina. The people that bought it with me, the people that started it, stayed for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And then they sold it to somebody else. It's called Stars Athletics. I think it's on Hillsborough. It was on West Shore, and then we moved it to where the new Walmart is on Gandy.
Okay.
They knocked it down. It's 45,000 square feet.
That's a big studio.
Yeah, it was big. It was way too big.
Yeah, I was telling you, my daughters are dancing with the American Dance Academy, and they have a pretty good history too of producing dancers that have made NFL and other Broadway and other even a couple of Rockettes and some things like that. So it's been kind of neat. Couple rapid fire things, just in terms of getting to know you again personally, and then we'll wrap up with a couple final questions for the episode. But do you have a favorite book or author or seminar that has made an impact on you?
I knew you were going to ask me that. You know what? Do you remember? Do you ever watch Seinfeld?
I love Seinfeld.
Remember when George Costanza said, "You want me to know if I read books? I read Sports Illustrated. That's me."
The Daily News. Isn't that what he says?
I don't think I've ever read.
I read the Daily News. George says.
I don't think I've read a book except for the broker's exam since I got out of college.
Well, it doesn't have to be a book. Has there ever been a seminar or even someone that you have learned something from? Maybe it's actually like a podcast even that you've heard that's made an impact. Anything come to mind?
Never listened to a podcast.
How about that? Maybe this will be your first.
Maybe this will be my first. I don't think I've ever been to a seminar.
Look at you.
I used to go to pro dance camp and with all the professional cheerleaders. I love that because I could talk to all the coaches and pick their brains. And yeah, I mean, I took the CPA exam and then I'm not taking.
It's amazing, honestly, that you've built a successful team and group, just being yourself, being genuine, obviously, because for a lot of people, like, they need some sort of outside, I know I do, need some sort of outside coaching, mentorship. And I've learned a ton from books and stuff that I've participated in that has helped my business and helped my career. I actually believe that if I didn't invest in all that stuff, I probably wouldn't have been nearly as quote unquote successful as I've been able to figure out over the years. So, I mean, I'm jealous that you've been able to make it work without all that investment.
I'm 100% sure I could learn a million different things, but I just kind of do it in trial and error. Just kind of, I bought my HP computer. None of my kids would help me learn how to use it, so I just trial and error it because I would go through, not my HP and Apple, I'd go through an HP, I'd burn it up in 7 months.
Yeah.
With real estate, typing and doing all kinds of stuff, and the Apples actually work so much better, but I never took a class or anything how to use it. I just figured it out myself.
Figured it out on your own, yeah. You're a trial and error type gal.
I kind of don't like being told what to do. I think that's my problem.
Growing up in Louisiana, by the way, we didn't talk about it, but were you like a diehard LSU fan?
Well, yeah. I mean, my father played
Tigers
football at LSU. I danced at LSU. My husband played baseball.
Well, I don't think you mentioned that. So you did dance at LSU.
Yes.
Okay.
And so anyway, yeah, I am a huge diehard
all
LSU
about the
fan.
Bayou, huh?
When we moved here, my youngest daughter got a scholarship to go to LSU, and I just really didn't want her to because it's too far.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I'd ever get to watch her cheer or whatever. And Florida has been great to my kids.
Yeah.
I love the school. It has been. I'm sure all the FSU people are going to be screaming. I did coach at USF for 10 years, so I like that one too. But I do love UF. They have been great to my kids.
All right, another question. Do you have a favorite movie?
Oh, I have a lot. I'm a romance kind of girl. I have several. I love A Star Is Born with Brad Pitt. With Chris
Bradley Cooper.
And it was the old one.
Oh, the old one.
Christopherson and Barbara Streisand.
Oh, okay.
Way better than the new one. I love the Cowboys. I love True Grit. Well, I'm a farm girl.
Yeah.
And I love Meet Joe Black.
Oh, that's one of my favorites too. I think people sleep on that movie. I don't think a lot of people mention it. Yeah, I always mention that one. And have you ever seen Son of a Woman with Al Pacino?
I like that one.
Those two movies are just some of the best acting I think I've ever
Legends
experienced.
of the Fall was awesome also. I just love Brad Pitt. He can do no wrong.
I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand that.
But I'm a farm girl, so I grew up riding horses, showing horses, dancing, picking okra and all that good stuff.
Do you guys have a favorite organization, any sort of nonprofit affiliation that you guys partner up with, or no?
Well, we did dance for the Shriners for years.
Okay.
They have the Northwest Bowl was here with all the college athletes that were, for the pros to come look at them. So we volunteered. It was about 3 days. All the dancers, my team, would all volunteer and work that. Best buddies, we dance for them. We have some work that we do for them. One of my good friends is, I guess she's the director or whatever you want to call her, and St. Jude.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
Those are the
Is it something that's integrated within your organization where like percentages of the deals go to any sort of packages?
No, I do it personally.
Personally, yeah, it makes sense.
The Shriners moved out to Vegas when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So they kind of shut it down for a while. Then they moved to Vegas. So we don't do that anymore.
Gotcha.
So, I like to give my time more than my money and do what we can for the community. I helped with we helped with the football and baseball, the Pinecrest Pilots. We did a little bit with them. We do something with Bloomingdale because one of my coaches coached football there. So we kind of helped out there. He's no longer there, but we still.
Do you guys live in South Tampa?
I live in Riverview.
Riverview, okay.
Yeah, I live on the Alafaya River. Which
there you go.
I can't believe it took me.
It's booming out there too. A lot of new construction, right?
I can't believe it took me so long to move out there. It's
Yeah.
like being on an island. It's fabulous. And put my little computer up on the kitchen island and watch the birds and the dolphins.
And you feel like you're always on vacation, huh?
I do. I love it.
Do you have favorite food? Lebanese?
It is.
Is it?
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Lebanese food too.
We go to. I love Louisiana food. We cook. I do every year, every other year. I haven't done it this year because our clientele is so big now. I can't do it every year because it's 100 people. I usually do a big Mardi Gras party, and I do all the cooking.
Wow.
I do crawfish etouffee.
It's a lot of work.
Jambalaya. And I decided after last year that someone else is going to do it from now on.
Wow.
I'll taste his food and see if it's good, but I did a lot of cooking, and I couldn't enjoy my clients.
Yeah.
Because I was always filling stuff up, making, hurricanes. I had some of the girls from USF serve drinks and serve food and that kind of stuff. So it was really nice. So I love Louisiana food. We typically have a crawfish boil with the kids, once or twice a year. I love Lebanese food. It's great. Greek food and Lebanese is very similar.
Yeah.
Greek food and Lebanese are right in with each other. And I'm a steak girl, too.
Oh,
I love
can't go
steaks.
wrong with that. I grew up in Connecticut, so I never really spent any time in New Orleans when I was up there. And then we took the family to New Orleans. We've been to Tampa now 10 years, but one of these couple years back, we took a little road trip to New Orleans for like an extended weekend, and we fell in love with the city and really had a great time. And the food, amazing there, and the history there, and it was awesome. So we've gone multiple times now and really seem to enjoy that. Everything that New Orleans has to offer,
Well, while the kids were at Florida, Florida played 3 times in the Sugar Bowl.
Sure, yeah.
While they were there,
those were the Tim Tebow days, right?
Yeah, Tim played twice and Jeff played once.
Yep.
So we got to go. That was the best time.
Yeah.
Going to stay.
They know how to party there, that's for sure.
They do.
Yep.
It's fun.
All right, I have a legacy question for you. You ready? This is a deep one. So a lot of people, obviously, as a top producer, you've invested a lot of your time and energy into your business and into your people to be able to grow the way you have. But when you think about whenever that time will come where you look back and you're like, what do I really want my legacy to be, right? What do I want to be known for? What do you think is most important to you, Lori, that you'd want to be able to look back and be most proud of?
As a person, honesty and hard work.
Okay.
Kind of as a real estate agent too.
Makes
Honesty
sense.
and hard work. I grew up in an era where your word was your bond. So it's not like that anymore.
A handshake meant something, right?
So, that's hard to get used to until you get burned a couple times,
Right.
But that's the way my family grew up. And
Right.
and when you go to Louisiana, it's still a lot like that. It's not like that in Florida, but it
Yeah.
is in Louisiana.
I do miss the days where a handshake meant something, though.
Right.
Like there was supposed to be a trust there. And we're a very litigious society nowadays, I guess, for that reason. It's just the rise of dishonesty. It is what it is. But that's good qualities to be able to speak of. And I know that your family is extremely important to you. It sounds like you guys get together a lot and have fun with all the grandkids and the legacy you've left there. That's going to last for generations. So
hopefully.
That's exciting to hear as well. But it's great to have you on the episode here today and learning a little bit more about you. If anybody wants to follow up with you, where could they find you, Lori? What's the best place?
Well, Selling Sunsets of Florida is the Google page. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. If you want to call me directly, my number is 813-416-8098. My email is lorimosesrealty@gmail.com.
Perfect. We'll throw that up on the screens too,
awesome.
For the video. So that sounds great. I always end every episode with the same challenge for anybody who invested their time to watch the episode here today, whether it's on Facebook Live or through our other platforms. What is one specific action step that you can take from our conversation today that's going to propel you forward in your business or in your personal life? And that's the goal for everybody, hopefully, that's watching, is maybe it's something that you heard Lori talk about regarding her team and how she built it. Can you grab a nugget there that you can put to work for your team building process? Or maybe it's just simply, maybe it's some of the luxury conversation that we had, or maybe it's something personal that you have to watch one of the movies that Lori recommended. Who knows? You want to say something? Go ahead.
So, yeah, if you're interested and we are always looking for team members too.
Sure.
We do a 90-10 split, and we give tons of referrals. So.
Yeah, as long as you think you can pass that 1 out of 30 slot, go ahead and hook up with Lori and see if you can make it happen. But again, it was great to have you. It obviously has worked, because to lose nobody shows a lot about your retention capabilities. We'll have to talk more about that too on another podcast, I guess, right?
We will.
But all right, guys, have a great rest of your week and stay classy and go out there and crush it. And we can't wait to see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. We'll see you then.
Thank you.